So today's video is a little more of a selfish video because I was kind of really interested on this topic. So I don't know if any of you know, but I went to Stanford and I was in the band there. And recently they've decided to shut down the band for a variety of reasons, but one of them being like sexual harassment type things. And there's been people who wrote articles that were women in the band that were saying, you know, we don't feel like this is a sexist environment. We feel like it's a sex-positive environment where we've been able to sort of joke and talk lightly about sex and actually have it be something that we discuss and that's not just ignored. So I've been kind of interested about what is the line between fun comedy and humor and sexism, mostly for women in this case. So it's really hard for me in particular because in my day-to-day life, when I'm doing my therapy, I often find myself being a little more like politically correct or making sure that I'm not offending my clients and meeting them where they're at and being culturally informed and sensitive. But in my private life and with friends, we obviously make a lot of jokes together, or the comedy I watch is often, I don't know, would be considered offensive by some people. So I asked a few friends and a few other people that I came across to help me define and identify what they felt like the line was between funny, good humor about women versus sexist comments that might be harmful.
I think the line between sexism and an actual funny joke has a lot to do with previous lived experience and also intention.
If the joke puts a woman in the place where her body is being critiqued in any way and in a way that we don't critique men for their bodies, I think that is part of the inherent sexism that exists in our culture, where women are made to be kind of the butt of the joke, and if they don't laugh they're considered bitchy or prude or whatever.
As someone who's been a victim of catcalling or things like that, that is something that I can make a joke about because I have experienced it firsthand and can therefore think about it and figure out how a joke fits into the framework of my experience. If you aren't aware about the negative impact of what you're saying, then I think it's a difficult thing to have any validity in saying because you don't know the consequences. I might have another thing to say in a little bit, but anyway.
I'm Zoe Lillian, and you're staying on top.
So I have my computer in front of me because I don't want to butcher anyone's direct quotes, but I just wanted to share with you a couple other quotes that people told me about what they consider the line between funny, comedy humor, and sexism. So one of my friends, Liz, who's also a psychotherapist, said, good comedy punches up. It uses the medium of comedy to challenge systems of oppression, whereas cheap comedy kind of punches down and reinforces systems of oppression. So I guess if you look at women in our culture, we're still not getting paid equal amounts as men. And so I guess if we're not telling jokes that maybe help continue a conversation about this or kind of combat that oppression of sorts, then it could be harmful. Another person said it's the intent that counts. If it's intended as a joke, it should be taken that way. Somebody responded to that and saying, well, intent doesn't mean the same thing as how it's received. So they said a good analogy we use in some identity-based work is spilling coffee on someone. So if you didn't intend to spill your coffee or you're scalding hot coffee on that person, that doesn't make it any better for the person with scalding hot coffee all over them right now. To give you a real life example, I was hanging out with my dad and some friends the other day, and my dad told this joke, and it was something like, why do women feel like they have to fake orgasms? And everyone's like, oh God, where is this gonna go? Why? And he's like, because women think that men actually care. And some of the people I was with thought it was hysterical. Some people in my family thought it was funny because they were like, oh my gosh, there's things about this that are true in terms of a relationship or, male-female marriage or whatever kind of marriage relationship. And other people were like, oh my God, this is so offensive. How could you say that? How could you not care about this? And I feel like it really depends on a lot of times who your audience is, but we often don't know who our audience is or what experiences they've been through. So I could say something that seems totally neutral or not offensive to me, and the person I'm saying it to might have had a certain experience or something that I don't know about, that it really is triggering for them. And I might never know that unless they said something to me, but once I've said it, is the damage already done? So another person said, I think the audience or the environment makes a difference. Like if they're on stage at a comedy show, I think everything's fair game. In an offstage environment, it's different. If it's a group of friends who like to one-up each other saying the most offensive things between themselves, they don't think anyone's really listening in. But if you're listening in from a distance or hear it secondhand and you get offended, that's your problem. But I think this comes up a lot in comedy in that if we're always trying to be politically correct or we're always trying to make sure we don't offend people, a lot of people have claimed, well, how can we have anything that's fun anymore? Can anything be lighthearted and fun? Or are we gonna have like the South Park PC police on our ass all the time? And I really don't have the answer for you. I think you need to figure out what works for you and what works in your community. But I really wanted to start this discussion, and I hope that you'll continue this discussion in your community and with yourself, because I think it's really important.